Hey pilgrims, buen camino. We've returned to base camp having completed our Camino Norte. Today what we want to do is talk about our gear. We told you about 45 days ago what we were taking along with us on the Camino del Norte. Now we've got the experience and we're going to talk about what worked for us and what didn't work, and share some little tips along the way. What broke or failed?
My cool hiking trousers, and there was some discussion of these along the way. I wore these for most of the Appalachian Trail, probably a substantial part of our previous Camino, so they have nearly 2,600 miles on them when we started. But the old fabric that they made them out of is so comfortable, I thought I'd give them a try, but they pretty much blew out, and I had to cut off the back pocket and patch them all the way through the middle. But they made it all the way to the end of the Camino, and the planning failure on my part was not thinking about the previous wear and tear on the gear before I took it out on the trail. If I had thought about that, I wouldn't have taken these with me, so that's a fail on my part, but it's also a structural failure of the gear.
So now we know that cool trousers are not good for 3,000 miles.
Well, at least not these.
They're the right pants to take on a pilgrimage because they're holy.
That's right.
I had quite a few failures along the way, and part of that is because I'm using ultralight gear. And ultralight gear is really a trade-off between weight and durability. And in this case, I probably should have gone with a little more weight and achieved a little more durability. So the first one was my Six Moon Designs mini umbrella. I'm going to talk later about umbrellas, but I just want to say that this one started failing about 2 weeks in, and it just got worse and worse. And it's just all these little struts and arms on my umbrella started disconnecting. The pack I got just this summer, so it only had maybe 200 miles on it when I set out, and this pocket just, the front edge of the pocket just completely ripped off the pack. So I could only put big things that wouldn't fall out, like my trekking poles and my umbrella. That was very disappointing. The last fail that was really a problem was I dropped my iPhone and the screen shattered. Now luckily we were at an albergue that had clear packing tape, and so I taped the front and I used it for the rest of the trip. So maybe I should call clear packing tape a big win, because it did salvage my phone, which salvaged the videos, because that's how I edit. What exceeded your expectations?
Well, I'm still really pleased with my pack. I've got a Gossamer gear pack. Very comfortable. I use it through the last Camino and some of the time on the AT and on this one, so I'm really pleased with that pack. That's done really well.
How about you?
Two things. Wool clothes, in spite of pilgrims saying you would look a whole lot neater if you wore tech clothes. But the wool kept me warm when I was wet. It was easy to clean. It was easy to maintain. The second big win, though, was the homemade sleep systems. That's what this pillowcase is emblematic of. And it's not so much that we had to use them, but two things. We had them, so when we needed them, they were available. And the second is, with a little bit of jury rigging, we actually were able to make makeshift pillows. And in a lot of European lodging, they have two beds pushed together with one long pillow that I guess you're supposed to wrestle over all night. And so just to get good quality sleep, we were able to just shove all of our sleep system into a pillowcase with a couple of pieces of extra clothing, and that formed a really nice pillow. So I'm going to give the sleep system a big thumbs up.
Okay. And what we found out was this pillowcase that we had brought with us was a little on the small side. We bought regular sized pillowcases and then stuffed our sleep system inside, and this made a great supplemental pillow when we were faced with the matrimonial pillow of divorce.
The dreaded uni pillow.
The uni pillow. I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
I will just also to add to that, the quilt was really nice to have too. We didn't have to use it other than, like one hostel, but they didn't supply any bedding. But it was nice to have it for extra warmth, even in some of the other places, because some of them just had this really old blanket in the closet, and you kind of wonder
Yeah,
when it
and
was last, washed or anything.
Right.
So it's nice to have your own extra layer of warmth.
And I remember from the Camino Frances that the blanket in the closet was the one that had the bed bugs, not the ones on the beds. It's
Yeah.
better to have your own clean blanket.
Definitely nice to have.
Okay, so my Tilly hat is like the bomb. It's reasonably water resistant.
Sweetie,
It's like,
they're not going to sponsor you no matter what.
I don't care. It's a great hat. Sun protection for me, which is a really big deal. I wore it all day, every day, never took it off.
I'll tag on to the hat. I carried two hats. One was a real light runner's cap, and then the other was, it's not a Tilly, I went with the more economy-based version, but I was really happy with it, a sundowner charter hat. It crushed well, carried well, held up, and I was real pleased with it. It worked well, and it does make a lot of difference. And especially, I hate being in the rain, but having a big brim hat in the rain makes a big difference with keeping the water off your glasses.
The other big surprise, in spite of its shortcomings, is the Six Moon Designs umbrella. And it's not so much that it's the lightweight Six Moon Designs, it's an umbrella. And when you're in Western Spain in the fall, you're gonna get wet. And the umbrella actually kept most of my gear and even kept my raincoat dry most of the time. So I'm, I guess I'm a convert. I would agree with all the conditions about the Six Moon Designs. Not terribly resilient in the wind, and in northern Spain, when you have rain, you have wind. So finding something that's a little heavier and maybe vented would be a really good idea, but an umbrella, one way or the other.
You took mine. I was going to say an umbrella. I am now a convert as well. There are two things about the umbrella. One, it's for sun, and one, it's for rain. Well, when you're using it in the heat and the sun, you get that nice draft of air underneath the umbrella. You don't have to wear a hat, and taking off a hat probably saves you about 10 or 15 degrees of comfort. So you can go without a hat. In the rain, with the kind of rain we had for like 3 or 4 days, was it would mist heavily for about 5 minutes, and then it would stop. So a lot of people are pulling out their ponchos and getting, their rain gear on. We just would pop up the umbrella, and when the rain stopped, we'd put it away. So I too am now a convert, but I'm gonna upgrade to a little bit heavier, more durable umbrella. Did you add anything last minute, and how did it work out? Anybody?
I added a second pair of trousers and a second, basically travel trousers. So they weren't in the pack. I was wearing them, and I threw in an extra shirt. I was just a last minute threw it in because my pack didn't weigh that much, and I'm kind of glad I did.
Okay. Anybody else have anything last minute?
Yeah, we had two things. One, we had some extra time at the beginning, so we went to the decathlon store. We went primarily because we wanted to get some walking sticks. Our plan was to just buy some when we got there and probably leave them there for another pilgrim. So
Kind of related to concerns of whether they'll get through TSA and those kind of situations.
So we did not take any checked bags. We only had our backpack. The biggest problem is in Spain, they will not let you use them as carry-on. While we were in the store, we bought these tips. And normally when you buy the tips, I'll just say the generic black ones, they wear out really quickly.
About 100 miles, I think.
Yeah.
We changed them out on the Camino Frances
3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times. These suckers lasted the whole 500 miles, and there's no
I don't see any.
there's no wear.
I don't see any.
I don't know what they're making these things out of, but they're
Also from Decathlon.
yeah.
That was a huge win. And then the other thing, while I was there, I saw they had their local brand of a wool underwear. And I thought, well, I'll give that a try. I wasn't sure. It was partly for, I needed it for warmth, but also I've got all ex officio because it washes and dries real quickly. But that quickly became one of my favorite pairs, and that would have been something else that if we had time, I would have gone back and got 4 or 5 more pairs just to have those. They They washed and dried well. They were very comfortable, and
Can I ask how much did they cost?
they were like 14 euros.
Okay, so they're half the price of ex officio, basically.
Or any wool
Right.
underwear that I've seen. And to go on Slider's comments, I mean, cool when it was warm and warm when it was cool. So, yeah, all the shirts that I wore and that I'm wearing now, they're wool shirts, and definitely a huge convert to, it's not just wool, it's merino wool.
Right.
And the benefits are lightweight and easy to wash, easy to dry, and it doesn't smell, it doesn't have the odor problems that synthetics do or t-shirts do.
Now, after I saw their gear video, I started doubting my 2-shirt and 1 pullover scheme of dressing. And so I added this shirt, and I added a sleeveless shirt for the hot weather that we heard about. So this shirt ended up being my favorite shirt on the whole trip. I think I wore it almost every single day.
What kind of shirt is it?
It is a merino wool shirt from Wool-X. It's the midweight, not the lightweight. And I love it because it's just as soft as a pair of flannel pajamas. I love the softness of it, but also a good layering piece. I certainly would hike in this shirt too.
I actually took something out that as you say, I put back. A t-shirt that's just a soft t-shirt, it's not wool, but I really like sleeping in it. It's just nice. I don't use it for anything else. It's kind of one of my little extras that I just really like.
Luxury-
I can use
luxury
luxury
item.
items, yeah. I mean, I can use it as a backup hiking t-shirt if I need to, but, and I also actually had a black Wool-X.
And it looked very nice.
And yeah, I used that. I didn't use it to hike in, but same thing. I kind of like after coming back at the end of the day and going out, just having something warm and kind of cozy feeling
Yeah.
to go out in the evening in.
So that was a Wool-X shirt as well?
Mhm.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is Wool-X too.
Wearing it now, yeah. And mine's a lightweight one, actually.
The next question I had for everybody, and that was, what did you not use? And I think there's this general category of contingency. You want to be safe, you want to protect yourself from the elements, and we didn't have the kind of bad situations that we've had in the past.
Everything that was in my pack that was basically a contingency for the cool weather we experienced 3 years ago when we walked through Galicia either stayed in my pack or it became fill for my pillow.
Yeah.
My Arc'teryx jacket, my long johns, my buffs, we didn't need any of that stuff. But if we
Because
hadn't
we
had
lucked
it,
out.
yeah, if we hadn't had it and we had run into the weather we ran into 3 years ago, we would have been in a pretty bad place. So it was it's worth the wait to carry the gear that you anticipate you'll need.
It's never overpacking to take a puffy insulated jacket, but we didn't have cold weather. We had hot weather on this journey.
Unusual, I mean, yeah, that was unusual. It was unusually warm. The thing I didn't use was the cold weather gear, but same thing, I wouldn't have left it behind. I mean, I had a hat, some gloves, and the Arc'teryx, but we just got lucky because the weather never got that cold.
I had 2 items that I didn't use. I took a spare water bottle. Just there were a couple times where it looked like we had a really long hike
Without water resupply.
without water resupply, and the 1 liter bottle was always enough. But I knew that we had a couple of long days, and just to have an extra for us. But if I would have thought about it, one of the things that we ended up doing a lot was buying like a Powerade bottle or some kind of electrolyte, and that ended up being my second or backup bottle, so I really didn't need that. And I kind of knew that ahead of time, that I probably wouldn't need the extra, but I forgot about the importance of the electrolytes,
Yeah.
and that makes a huge difference. So just using, we had to buy the Powerade bottles anyway, and that was my backup.
I brought the Catadine Be-Free water filter. You can take water out of a cattle trough or a stream, and I did not end up using it, but I would still take it next time.
The other thing I took that I didn't use was the sun protection for my hands. The sleeves that I was using, I hadn't used these before, and these worked really well, but they were also long, so it covered up most of my hands. So that was partly, this was something new that I hadn't I've used other sleeves, I just hadn't used this REI brand before, and those, they worked great for me. I ended up using those almost daily.
I had a pair of those with me. They never came out of my pack
Well, 'cause
because
you-
I wore this shirt the whole time.
Yeah, you always wore a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah, I also have the sleeves and the sun gloves, which I used both. The sleeves when it was going to be a warmer day. Sometimes in the morning, I didn't need them. When it got sunny later, I'd put it on. It was cool in the morning. And yeah, they do. These weren't quite long enough, I felt, to cover my hands, and I have a lot of sun damage from my hands. So yeah, I used especially when I actually was switching to a long sleeve shirt, then I just used the sun gloves.
I noticed I didn't use my towel but once. I think next time I would probably just buy one of those dollar store ShamWow towels that's about this big and just tuck that in the bottom of my pack for that one time when I need to dry off and I don't have a towel. We stayed, but we didn't stay in albergues, and so that's the
I was gonna
difference.
say, it's also a privacy towel for the albergue.
I would just risk it and just take a towel to dry off with, and this fairly small, like hand towel sized, would be adequate for that. I may chicken out, if we were to do this again and bring my towel, but yeah, just not sure that was worth the wait.
Yeah.
And that's not an emergency item until it is. But again, this is one of those places where if you needed one, you could certainly buy one at the China store. Did anybody bring a luxury item?
Definitely. I had an extra pair of socks that I only used at the end of the day or in the nighttime. And it was really nice to be able to put on a nice, clean, soft pair of socks. Because when you hand wash your socks all the time and air dry them, they get hard and crunchy.
And these were not hiking socks. These were,
Well,
you could have used them for hiking socks.
They were a pair of right socks, but
Yeah.
they were just a brand new pair, and it felt really nice after you showered and everything to put on something soft and clean. And also, basically, I think we all wore the same daytime hiking clothes. So my second set of clothes that I had in the bag, which I could use on the trail, was also my travel clothes and my evening clothes.
Right.
And it was nice having something clean and washed differently or not hung dry, that it felt comfortable to get into at night.
Yeah, I think we all had one set of hiking clothes, one set of town clothes, basically. And
Yeah.
and then you had a little luxury item.
My sleeping shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, so we talked about that a bit, but yeah, I like just having something really soft and clean, same thing, because hand washing and it's almost all hang dry and it just, has that little bit of crunchiness.
Yeah.
And at the town clothes are also sort of designed to be backup hiking clothes too, if something happened to one, or you have one that got soaking wet, you needed to, it wasn't dry by the time you're walking, you want to start out in dry clothes, so they were also backup hiking clothes.
Did you have any other luxury items?
I don't think so.
Okay. How about you?
I'm gonna say travel clothes too. That was just, it's weight you carry, and suppose you could mail it to yourself in Santiago, but it was worth it. And they were, at least the trousers were backup hiking trousers. I could have worn the shirts to hike in, although I didn't. But I would say, yeah, that's
Okay.
far and away
Yeah.
the luxury item in my bag.
I think I had two luxury items. One was this shirt, which I've already talked about. The other was a pillowcase, a big, regular-sized pillowcase with a zipper, to have that second pillow on the bed. That was definitely my luxury item. Are you thinking about anything new that you'll add that you didn't have this time?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm very happy with what was in the bag.
Okay. The only thing I would say for next time is I will have a better umbrella. I will invest in the weight, and I will have an umbrella that actually holds up to the conditions. But that's the only thing I would change for next time.
This is just a little microfiber towel, which actually could be used in an emergency as a towel, like
It
you were
could,
talking about.
yeah.
But at least three of us had them. I don't know if you did have them hanging off our packs, but the bathrooms often have these really feeble hand dryers and no towels. And so besides using it for having it available for sweat, it's always handy to have as a towel.
Yeah.
You know, accessible. So
Yeah.
those funny things.
Mine's a little bit heavier than that, but I've cut it in half.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so the weight's about the same. And yeah, I lost it on one hiking trail, and I was so glad when it turned back up because it really is an essential.
Yeah.
For people that wear glasses, you need it to wipe off your glasses.
Yeah, and yeah, for sweat, it's great for sweat.
Yeah.
I was trying out this time this, instead of toothpaste, I just read about it in one of the backpacking magazines. It's EcoDent. It's a tooth powder. They advertise it as 200 brushings out of this particular size bottle. And it tastes okay, it's not great, but I think if you didn't have access to buying toothpaste, and two people could go for quite a while, so you would be saving potentially plastic and space if you shared it with somebody on a trip where you didn't have access to toothpaste tubes. But in Spain, that kind of travel, there's a lot of little stores along the way, so it's easy to replenish a small toothpaste.
One thing that I learned and would do differently next time, there's adapters that you have to use in Spain, and I didn't realize at the time, although I do remember seeing that there's a Northern Europe and a European version of this, and the Northern Europe has a bigger, rounder post, and this worked in about 75% of the hotel rooms. But in Spain, they have a smaller, rounder post, and in some of the maybe newer outlets, this one didn't work. So, just a heads up, if you're traveling to Spain and you have an option in your kit, and there's 2 sizes, take the small size, because that one will fit. The other thing that worked really well, this was underappreciated or undervalued, and would definitely take next time. Granger found these multi-recharging stations that came with the European plug, and it is the smaller plug, and this worked great.
Yeah, I use mine every single night. I could plug in my camera battery, my watch, my iPhone, and I could even charge my power block. And I still had one USB outlet left over.
Yeah.
Actually, we doubled up on ours. It took a high-speed charger and then would plug it in like that, and it decreased the charging time. And I could use it in a cafe or during the day if we needed a quick boost on something.
And that was important when we got to the airport on the last day too,
Yeah.
to recharge everything. One thing I added to this was a lot of times when you have a nightstand and a lamp in these little hostels, albergues, pensiones, the places we stayed, the lamp is plugged into the one and only outlet. So at the China store, I bought an adapter that would make 3 outlets out of one. So I could plug in the table lamp that was at the nightstand as well as my charging block. We're going to talk about your couple favorite things that you brought with you. And I'll start out with one. And I know this is going to sound like a ladies only thing when I hold it up, but this is good for men too. This product is Monistat Chafing Relief Powder Gel. It is in the aisle with the ladies' hygiene items. This is fabulous for any kind of chafing on your feet, on your legs, wherever you get chafing. This stuff is a dream. It's a gel that turns into kind of a powdery surface. And I really like this and really recommend this for chafing. But you have another solution for chafing.
Yeah, we used Hiking Master and I use the Body Glide. And we use it mainly on our feet. You can use it anywhere, but yeah, it's great for helping prevent blisters and just keeping the skin on your feet. Actually, our feet end up in better shape sometimes, the skin, when we come back than they normally are at home when we're not paying attention. So that's a common product and very useful. And it does come in smaller sizes.
So the final question is, what was your favorite bit of kit?
We didn't do check luggage. We carried on our backpack, so we couldn't take our hiking poles, and we couldn't take a knife. And yeah, I feel naked. I feel vulnerable without it. My favorite is a Swiss Army knife because it's got a scissors, a knife, and most importantly, it's got a corkscrew.
Oh, yeah.
And a little screwdriver for glass repair. But in Decathlon, I found the French knife, the Opinel, the classic European backpacking, hiking,
yeah.
picnic knife. Perfect for cutting apples and cheese, and a picnic knife, very lightweight. But the really good deal was it was only €8 at Decathlon.
There's at least one donkey whose bad teeth thanked you
Yeah.
for slicing his apple in half before you handed it to him.
So
Yeah.
that was probably most used, or just really glad that I had it.
Yeah, these are just a couple items that I always have, that I'm just always glad I have them. One's just my buff. I use this a lot. I can use it. I use it a lot as a headband, sweatband. Can be a towel, and also use it for warmth in the early morning. Often it's cool when you first start out, so I have it around my neck. Just a great thing to have. The other thing is, this is a Kula cloth. There's other brands. It's basically a pea cloth to use in place of toilet paper, in the spirit of leave no trace, because I'm very bothered by the fact that when we're walking on the trail, there's not a lot of public restrooms, so generally you're waiting for an open cafe in a town, which were much less frequent on the Norte than the Frances, but you're walking often on country lanes. On each side is private farmland, and you'll go back in the bushes and see a lot of people have left toilet paper there, trashing the farmer's land. So I've always advised bringing one of something like this, and they're discreet. They're silver lined to help reduce bacteria. Very easy to wash and dry overnight.
Yeah, and that got washed every single day.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
How about you? What's your favorite kit?
Two things. I'm going to go back to my hat. Love the hat. The second is a pair of just lightweight sandals that I bought at REI that were just really nice to wear at night. Get your feet out of your socks, out of your wet shoes, and just have them for comfort. And so those will be my two
Okay.
top picks.
Nice. I've got 3 top picks. The first one is my iPhone. I edit on this, so to create videos, this is absolutely essential for me. But it's also, before I crack the screen, it's a waterproof camera, so I could use that on days when I couldn't use my real camera. Also, my guidebooks are in here, my journal's in here, my flashlight, you name it. It's a good multi-tool. I'm still going to say that I do love to have an umbrella, so the umbrella is going to be one of my favorite bits of kit. Not this brand or this model, but an umbrella for sure. And to go with the umbrella is my third piece of favorite kit, and that's one of these, what do you call them? Twists?
Gear ties.
Gear ties. And I'll show you how I use it. I've got a bungee with a
Slide lock.
slide lock, thank you. I've got that on the lower part of my shoulder strap, and then on the upper part, I just thread my my gear tie. So the handle of the umbrella goes into the bungee and gets locked in. And then the upper part of the handle gets wrapped with the gear tie, and that holds it all in place. And that was the best system that I've ever used for keeping an umbrella on the shoulder strap. That keeps your hands free, and when it's raining, you're definitely going to want to use your trekking poles to navigate slippery wood, stone, mud, so many slippery things once it rains. This way you can keep your hands available and have the protection of the umbrella. I'm sold on the umbrella now. I'm team umbrella.
With the gear ties too, they're very lightweight. They're really a good emergency feature to have for securing stuff, or for being able to hang your backpack. A lot of hostels require you to hang your backpack on your bunk bed to keep it up out of the way, and also so that bed bugs either can't get in or can't get out. So I always have an extra small one and large one. Just, it's a great handy item to have.
So that's what we liked and what we didn't like about our gear. I hope this helps you with your Camino. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Buen Camino.